Hello everyone, I'm Alan Pickering, Managing Director at Unison in Scarborough, manufacture tube bending machines. Today I've got the privilege of being the editor for the Made Live TV pick. Today I've got with me Alex Barnett from OGL Computer and James Sockworth from ADI Group. Welcome guys, thank you for joining me. I've got a couple of questions or three for both of you. So I'll start off with Alex. Can you tell me what's the biggest mistake made by industry when it comes to cyber security? Sorry, I didn't clarify that part.
Yeah, of course, no problem at all. So hello all. My name's Alex Barnett. I'm one of the consultants here for CyberGuard Technologies, which is part of the OGL group. And we've recently become patrons of the Made In group to help manufacturing companies with cybersecurity. Obviously, it's a big risk, and obviously we unfortunately do see quite a few mistakes made by the industry. And I think the first one to really touch upon is a common fallacy that we still hear on a near daily basis when it comes to speaking to manufacturers, and that is, I'm too small to be of interest to a cyber criminal, or my data wouldn't be of interest to a cyber criminal. And this information, unfortunately, couldn't be further from the truth, especially over recent years, during COVID. But I think as the industry has developed and changed its use of technology, and unfortunately, so have attacks on the manufacturing industry, and we've seen increased attack surface when looking at all sizes of businesses. So not only are threat actors targeting larger businesses that you see in the headlines, but also a lot of small to medium-sized businesses that form part of the supply chain. So there's never been a more, I suppose, critical time to be proactive with your cybersecurity. One of the big mistakes that we see is that a lot of manufacturers don't take the appropriate measures when it comes to protecting their data. So this, I suppose, involves having a robust cloud disaster recovery procedure, but also having a cyber incident response plan. There is no situation worse to be in when you have a form of cyber incident, whether that be a phishing attack or a ransomware outbreak, and you don't know what that response plan is. So who do you call? And quite often we get met with panic of, do we need to involve this? Do we need to speak to our solicitors? Do we need to speak to the threat actor? So having an instant response plan, or obviously the lack thereof, is a big mistake we often come across.
Would you say that that's your number one tip then, having a cyber response plan?
Yeah, I think that forms part of the tip that I'll come on to. One is being obviously you need to be proactive with your cybersecurity posture. Don't bury your head when it comes to risks. I think you need to kind of really be proactive at identifying what risks exist for the business, and therefore what you need to do to mitigate against those risks. So looking at the right, obviously, technology, the right procedures to follow, of which obviously an instant response plan forms a massive part of that.
Okay, cool. So I was writing some notes for myself there.
Yeah.
Can companies sort of bounce back from a cyber attack, and if so, typically how long does that sort of take?
Yeah, I think obviously yes, you can bounce back from a cyber attack, and I think it obviously depends on a lot of factors in terms of how prepared your company is for a cyber attack, and what measures have been put in place to obviously limit the damage done by a cyber attack. Typically, we look at manufacturers in general in terms of what we call the big six when it comes to protecting your business. And the big six is obviously your supply chain, your customers, your staff, intellectual property, obviously your brand and reputation of your business, which is incredibly important. But obviously the obvious one as well in terms of your bottom line and your profitability as a business. So how well you protect those big six, as we call it, really limits that sort of damage that's done, and therefore obviously how quick you can bounce back. So for the unprepared, damage done is catastrophic. Obviously, a successful attack can affect one or if not all of those big six that I've spoken about. So by having a robust cybersecurity strategy, you can really reduce the damage done by an attack, but also, something really important such as cyber insurance. can help you bounce back quickly by ensuring you have that protection again to get back on your feet if you do fall foul to one of these cyber attacks that we see.
Okay, that's really interesting. I've been scribbling notes down myself. I guess that's, I know this wasn't one of the official questions, but I guess that's the area of the space that you guys specialize in, is in this cyber protection and planning.
Exactly that. Yeah, I think we assist many companies and specifically manufacturers as well by identifying risk and by helping them increase their security posture and their security maturity. I think there is no silver bullet when it comes to being cyber secure, because unfortunately, threats change, they develop, and they increase over time. So I think by as a business, we are very proactive in identifying risks, mitigating against those risks, and ensuring that companies are well protected and monitored and supported 24/7. It's a bit of a cheesy phrase, but cybercrime doesn't sleep. So what are you doing at 2:00 in the morning when your IT systems aren't being monitored, and threat actors might still be coming into the network? That's where we can help at CyberGuard and OGL.
All right, Alex, thank you very much for that. That was very insightful. Now I'm going to move on to James. Thank you for joining us, James, and congratulations on your award. It's impressive. It's education is a passion of mine. So I was kind of interested, what has given you your passion for an apprenticeship program? What was the trigger?
Well, first off, Alan, thanks to yourself, and thanks to Made in the Midlands for the opportunity to talk. It may be a bit of an introduction to us, for we may not be that well known to some or most. But first off, to myself, I'm James Sopwith. I'm one of the group directors of the ADI group, and as a business, we're an engineering services company to the manufacturing sector. Very extensively into the food and drink manufacturing marketplace. We're quite a large business, and we have around about 750 employees. So we're a reasonable sized business. In terms of what gave us the passion, and me personally the passion for apprenticeships, it really is a key to our business plan. If we cut out the education piece, which I'll come to in a second, without hands-on engineers, our business plan doesn't stack up. We need around about 50 to 60 new engineers per year. We're a fast-growing business. Typically, our business grows between 15 and 20% per year. To get that, there is a limited supply of engineers in the marketplace, most specifically the hands-on guys. About 85% of our employees out of that 750 are hands-on engineers, by which I mean they're welders, they're electricians, they're panel wiremen. And without filling the bucket, if you like, if that's an appropriate phrase, without filling that bucket with engineers, we're not doing our piece for the engineering sector. And ultimately, we won't achieve the growth and the business plan that we have. So that, I suppose, is a business reason for doing it. However, there's other reasons, and the principle of those is that not everybody is cut out for an academic route for their career as they move forward. Not everybody is cut out for university. Not everybody's cut out for A-levels. A lot of people and a lot of children are very much more hands-on oriented. And it's those people that we want to inspire into what we see as a fantastic world of engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer. My route to my career was via a degree, but the owner and the person who set up ADI Group started as an apprentice. He left school at 15 and to his own voice, had no qualifications, had no desire for an academic way forward, had a passion from a family background that he wanted to be something in engineering. And so right from the start of our business 30 years ago, that link to apprenticeships has been key. And as I joined the business quite a long time ago, I've followed that on, and with the vision of the owner, we've continued to develop that apprenticeship program. We are members of the 5% Club, and that 5% Club means in excess of 5% of our employees are full-time apprentices. On top of that, we also have our pre-apprentice program, which is for 12 children per year who are 14 to 16. So they're still as a key part of their GCSEs. And that is, again, inspiring children into the world of engineering before they even get to 16. And that's a pretty immersive course. It's half a day per week for the 64 weeks they're in that 2-year program. So it is quite immersive, and they come out of that with something that is akin to a level 2 MVQ in mechanical and electrical engineering. So both of those programs are fundamental, one, to the inspiration piece, and two, to our business plan.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. We partner up with a Scarborough UTC, which is a university technical college, so 14 to 18 education, so academic alongside practical skills. It's the way forward, inspiring the kids. So can you give me an example of a rising star in your business and perhaps a risky punt on a student that paid off?
To be perfectly honest, I'd rather not. And the reason for that is I think they're all fantastic. Anybody who chooses a career in what I see as a brilliant industry sector, as far as I'm concerned, they're a winner before they start. It is a misconception, and one bit that we try and challenge is myth busting, if that's the right terminology, in schools and also in colleges, but primarily in schools around engineering. And if you're confident enough to pick up an apprenticeship in the engineering sector, I already think you're a winner. So I'd rather not pinpoint one person and say, well, they were a brilliant rising star, or somebody else that is maybe taking a punt on. Those people who were perhaps not written off, but perhaps perceived as different in school because academia isn't their bag. Is that taking a punt on somebody? No, because of the reasons I just said previously. Not everybody is academically minded. In terms of rising stars, we've had apprentices in our business who are now directors of the company. So is that a rising star? Yeah, but anybody can achieve that. The owner of the business started with him. We've never purchased a company throughout our 30 years, and we're now 750 strong. And that's what you can achieve. So everything is achievable. It's not really about making a punt or who would be a great rising star. Almost impossible to sort of determine one or both of those.
Yeah, I guess in some ways you've already got your role models within the business. The fact that the founder was an apprentice, and let's say you've got directors that have been ex-apprentices. I think that's always good for people to see that I can be anything. So that's interesting to hear.
And we very much encourage that you can be anything you want to in life. It doesn't matter where you start. You can do whatever you want. And the opportunities in our business, especially because of its growth, but not just that, the opportunities in our business are very extensive.
Okay. So in general, are you finding that when you engage with the schools and everything that there's still a raft of kids still want to take up the engineering baton, or has it become a little bit old hat for some schools?
I think it comes back to what I said just now, but a myth busting. A lot of, and I very much steer away from throwing rocks at either education or education throwing rocks at business. I don't think that's particularly appropriate, and I don't think it gets us anywhere. What we're interested in is what can we do as a business, and what we try very hard to do is do this myth busting. Go into schools, talk about engineering, talk about the opportunities that you have, talk about the career path you could have. some of those myths still reside with possibly there's not an understanding of what engineering is. I so frequently still hear engineering is something to do with cars. Yeah, but it isn't. You know, there are bits of engineering in bits of cars, but that is not, you know, being a mechanic is not engineering. You know, and that's a core myth. The second one is it's dirty. It's not a nice environment to work. Well, our workshops, and we have quite a lot. We've got 5 of them and quite a big area. They're white with okay, not white floors, but it's a light grey. Yeah, and you couldn't claim that that's a dirty environment. And then finally, wages. I think again, big myth that engineering is still low paid, maybe minimum wage, and again, couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, entirely the opposite in our particular sector. And you know, you only have to look at the salary scales without putting numbers, but engineering typically sits at the top of all salary rates, and that includes lawyers and doctors. So pretty much, I don't know whether that answers the question as such. I think there are a lot of children, given the right information, I think there are a lot of children who would actively seek a career in engineering. We've just got to try harder in getting that message across.
Yeah, no, I think you're completely right. I think a few years ago there was a survey that the most famous engineer in the UK was Kevin from Coronation Street in the garage. You know,
I haven't heard that one, but that rings with the mechanic. Not particularly follow Coronation Street, but I think.
Yeah. Obviously I don't. That's just what my wife said.
Yeah, right.
So guys, thank you very much for your time, and for everyone for joining us today. And join us in the new year, and we will have another edition of the Editor's Pick. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you all.